Here's the paraphrased script, aiming to slightly alter word order while maintaining the original style and articulation. She once took you for granted. Now, she's sensing a shift in your energy, pondering why your texts aren't what they used to be, why your voice lacks its former neediness. And here's the interesting part. She'll notice it long before she ever confesses it. This isn't about manipulation. This explores what occurs within a woman's mind when the man she believed she had stops his pursuit, stops proving himself, stops dedicating his attention. If you've ever withdrawn your energy, whether deliberately or not, what transpires next might astound you. Female psychology ain't just emotional, it's deeply instinctive. Let's break it down. 1. Confusion takes hold. When a woman initially perceives your attention waning, her first reaction is almost always bewilderment. She might not voice it, but internally, her emotional radar activates. She begins to discern that something feels different. The way you once regarded her, so attentive, so present, isn't quite the same. Your responses are delayed. The warmth in your voice is muted, and your eagerness to engage, to inquire about her day, to consistently show up, it's not there. As before, panic hasn't set in yet, but her mind starts running quiet calculations. This stage is subtle. It unfolds when she still believes she controls the emotional connection. However, your change unsettles her. She might rationalize that you're simply busy or having an off day. Yet, as she scrolls through your messages, she observes the altered tone. She notices you no longer double text or send good morning messages with clockwork regularity. Her confusion deepens because, deep down, she knows something is amiss. And this is where female psychology reveals its power. Most women won't react immediately. Instead, they become watchful. They subtly test the waters. They observe how long the distance grows before you either return or vanish entirely. During this period of confusion, they begin evaluating their standing in your life. It's not about love yet. It's about awareness. You've altered something, and now, whether she admits it or not, she's striving to comprehend why. Second, her ego takes a hit. Once confusion starts to settle, the subsequent wave that strikes is her ego. It's not even about missing you at this point. It's about missing how much you used to make her feel desired, the compliments, the attention, the emotional energy you once freely provided. It nourished something intrinsic within her, something primal, and now, with that energy absent, a void exists. She might not be in love. She might not even desire anything serious. But what she undeniably craves is to feel wanted. When she loses that emotional spotlight, her inner voice starts questioning, wait, why isn't he looking at me anymore? So, she does what many do when their ego feels bruised. She acts. Perhaps she posts thirst traps online. Maybe she suddenly becomes more engaged in your social circles. She might randomly text you about something trivial, just to see if you'll respond. It's not always obvious, but every action is calculated to ascertain if she still holds your attention. The deeper layer here is control. She desires to feel she still possesses some influence over you. And when she doesn't receive the reaction she anticipates, it troubles her more than she lets on. Her ego suffers a blow. And that's when the true emotional processing commences. Free, she begins reassessing the past. This is the point where things shift internally for her. After the confusion and the blow to her ego, she starts looking backward. Initially, her focus was on your current actions, but now she begins reviewing what has already occurred. Women become incredibly introspective when emotionally triggered, and when they sense something significant is slipping away, they delve into memories. She recalls how you used to treat her, the times you appeared, the effort you invested, the energy you poured into conversations, plans, surprises, even disagreements. She starts to recognize where she might have taken that energy for granted. At this juncture, it's no longer about why did he stop, but more like did I push him away? This phase often triggers guilt or self-doubt. And when that kicks in, something deeper begins to change. She might not utter a word, but she's remembering all the kindness and consistency. She's realizing you weren't the issue. Perhaps she was too caught up in her own ego or too preoccupied with external validation to truly value the presence of someone genuine. This is often the quiet turning point where, previously, she might have felt she held the upper hand. Now, she realizes she might have lost something precious. And it resonates differently because now you're not pursuing, you're simply gone. And your silence becomes the loudest sound she hears, for the pullback hits her emotionally. By this stage, she's not just contemplating, she's feeling. The emotional void you created becomes more pronounced. It manifests in subtle ways. When something amusing happens and she instinctively reaches for her phone to inform you, but then stops when she's out and realizes she cares less about who's observing her. When her favorite song plays and it evokes a memory with you, that's when the silence begins to echo. The loss becomes tangible, not theoretical. It's vital to grasp that women process emotions distinctly, while men often react quickly. Women tend to feel in layers, first confusion, then ego, then reflection, and finally emotion. This is the stage where she might cry over you without fully comprehending why. She's grieving the space you used to occupy. What once annoyed her, your lengthy texts, your consistent calls, suddenly become what she misses most, not because you were flawless, but because, in your own way, you were unwavering. And now that steadfastness is gone, she feels the internal imbalance. Some women appear strong during this phase. Others quietly break down. Either way, her emotions are activated, and whether she acknowledges it or not, your absence has made you more significant than your presence ever did. 5. The urge to reconnect. This is the phase where her internal tension propels her to act. After all the overthinking, emotional surges, and reflection, she reaches a decision. She desires to reconnect. But how she does it depends entirely on her personality and your past dynamic. Some women will choose the direct approach. They'll message you, call you, request a meeting. They'll say things like, "I was just thinking about you," or "Hey, remember when?" A gentle opening intended to gauge if the door remains ajar. Others might opt for a more subtle route. She might start watching all your stories, liking old posts, commenting randomly on something just to remind you of her presence. Why? Because now the fear of losing your attention has transformed into the fear of losing you. This is where many men either reclaim their power or relinquish it again. If you immediately jump back in, overwhelmed by her return, she'll perceive the power shift again and might lose interest. But if you remain centered, if your energy is calm, if your standards haven't diminished, then she'll respect it. She might not verbalize it, but internally, she views you differently. This reconnection isn't solely about romance, it's about validation, for her and for you. She wants to know, do I still matter to him? And your response will answer that far more loudly than words ever could. Remember, it's not about ignoring her or being cold. It's about staying grounded. Remain true to the person you've become, not the person you used to be. 6. Respect, regret, or both. The final stage is potent and often unspoken. She might not articulate anything directly, but this is when the true shift in her perception of you solidifies, depending on how the preceding phases unfolded. She either develops a profound respect for you or is left with a quiet sense of regret. If you remain calm, elevated yourself, and didn't allow your emotions to dictate your actions, she will recognize that. She might never fully tell you, but she'll carry that image of you forward as the man who didn't beg, didn't break, and didn't compromise himself for her attention. That earns respect. Conversely, if she realizes too late what she lost, and if her attempts to reconnect didn't yield the results she expected, it might morph into regret. Not anger, not bitterness. Just quiet, lingering internal regret. She might tell her friends, he was actually a good guy. She might compare every subsequent man to the one who offered steady affection and didn't create a scene when he departed. This phase can extend for months or even years. It's not loud, it's reflective. But one thing is certain. Once she comprehends that your attention wasn't desperate, but valuable, her entire perspective of you transforms. And here's the truth. By then, you've likely evolved so significantly that her opinion is no longer your priority, her respect or regret. It doesn't control you. It simply confirms you made the right decision by walking away with dignity. So, how does a woman react when she understands she's no longer the focus of your attention? She feels it first with confusion, then with pride, followed by reflection, emotion, action, and ultimately acceptance. She may respond, she may regret, she may even return. But if your withdrawal stemmed from strength, not malice, then you didn't lose her. You found yourself. Watch the next video. You're about to comprehend female psychology on an entirely new level.